Once upon a time, in a small, peaceful town, there lived a cheerful girl named Sophie. She was 22 years old and worked at a bakery called Sweet Dreams. Sophie loved her job as it gave her a chance to bake delicious cakes and cookies for her neighbors. Her kind nature and warm smile made everyone love her. Sophie had a boyfriend named Ryan, who was 24 years old. Ryan was tall, handsome, and had a charming smile that made Sophie's heart skip a beat. They had been dating for 2 years and were deeply in love, or at least that's what Sophie thought. Ryan often said to her, "You're the most important person in my life, Sophie. I can't imagine my world without you." Sophie also had a best friend named Lila, who had been her friend since they were little girls. Lila was 23 years old, with long blonde hair and sparkling blue eyes. She was confident, fashionable, and always full of energy. Sophie and Lila shared everything: secrets, dreams, and laughter. Sophie often said, "Lila is like a sister to me." One Friday evening, Sophie decided to invite Ryan and Lila over for dinner. She wanted to celebrate their friendship and love. Sophie cooked their favorite dishes: spaghetti with meatballs, garlic bread, and a chocolate cake for dessert. She decorated the table with candles and fresh flowers to make the evening special. When Ryan and Lila arrived, they all laughed, talked, and enjoyed the delicious food. Sophie was happy to see her two favorite people getting along so well. As they talked, she noticed that Ryan and Lila were sharing jokes and smiling at each other more than usual. They must be bonding as friends, Sophie thought, brushing away her doubts. In the days that followed, Sophie began to notice some changes. Ryan started spending more time on his phone, smiling at messages he refused to show her. When Sophie asked, "Who are you texting, Ryan?" he replied, "Just a friend from work." Sophie trusted Ryan, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. One day she saw Ryan and Lila chatting in a corner during a town event. They seemed closer than usual, whispering and laughing. Sophie tried to convince herself that she was imagining things. "They would never hurt me," she thought. "They're my boyfriend and my best friend." A week later, Sophie decided to surprise Ryan. She baked his favorite cookies and went to his house with a small gift. But when she arrived, her heart sank. Through the window, she saw Ryan and Lila sitting close together on the couch. Lila was laughing at something Ryan had said, and he was looking at her with a smile that used to be only for Sophie. Sophie knocked on the door, her hands shaking. Ryan opened it, his face turning pale. "Sophie, what are you doing here?" he asked nervously. Before he could stop her, Sophie walked into the living room and saw Lila sitting there, looking guilty. Sophie looked at Ryan, her voice trembling. "What's going on here?" she asked. Ryan hesitated, but finally said, "Sophie, I need to tell you something. I have feelings for Lila." Sophie froze. It felt like the ground had been pulled out from under her. "You have feelings for my best friend?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "I'm sorry, Sophie," Ryan said. "I didn't mean for this to happen, but I think Lila and I have a connection." Lila stood up, tears in her eyes. "Sophie, I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you," she said. But Sophie couldn't look at her. The betrayal was too much to bear. Sophie ran out of the house, her eyes filled with tears. She felt lost, betrayed, and heartbroken. For days, she stayed in her room, crying and asking herself, "Why did this happen? What did I do wrong?" She couldn't believe that the two people she trusted the most had hurt her like this. Her parents and coworkers at the bakery tried to cheer her up. "You're strong, Sophie," her mother said. "You'll get through this." But Sophie wasn't sure if she could ever trust anyone again. After a week of sadness, Sophie decided that she couldn't stay broken forever. She loved baking, and it had always brought her happiness. She started spending more time in the bakery, experimenting with new recipes and decorating cakes. Her customers noticed her hard work and praised her creations. "You're so talented, Sophie," one customer said. "Your cakes always make my day better." Slowly, Sophie began to feel like herself again. She realized that she didn't need Ryan or Lila to be happy. "I have my dreams and my bakery," she thought. "I can create my own happiness." One day, a man named Lucas walked into the bakery. Lucas was kind and friendly, with dark brown hair and a warm smile. He ordered a slice of Sophie's famous chocolate cake and said, "This is the best cake I've ever had." Sophie smiled. "Thank you. Baking is my passion," she replied. Lucas started coming to the bakery often, and soon he and Sophie became friends. He would sit at the counter, telling her stories about his travels and making her laugh. For the first time in months, Sophie felt happy and carefree. One afternoon, Sophie saw Ryan and Lila walking together in the town square. They looked happy, but when they noticed Sophie, their smiles faded. Ryan walked over and said, "Sophie, can we talk?" Sophie hesitated, but finally said, "Fine." Ryan looked at her with regret. "Sophie, I'm sorry for everything. I know I hurt you, and I'll never forgive myself for that." Sophie took a deep breath. "You did hurt me, Ryan. Both of you did. But I've moved on. I don't need your apology to heal. I've learned to be strong on my own." Lila approached and said, "Sophie, I'm truly sorry. I hope one day you can forgive me." Sophie looked at her former best friend and said, "I don't know if I can forgive you, Lila, but I wish you both the best." As months passed, Sophie continued to focus on her bakery and her new friendship with Lucas. Lucas became a source of support and kindness in her life. One day, he said, "Sophie, you're one of the strongest people I know. You turned your heartbreak into something beautiful." Sophie smiled. "Thank you, Lucas. I've learned that life can be hard, but it can also be full of surprises." Over time, Sophie and Lucas grew closer. Lucas admired Sophie's determination and kindness, and Sophie appreciated Lucas's honesty and warmth. They started spending more time together, going for walks and sharing their dreams. Sophie realized that her heartbreak had taught her an important lesson. True love and friendship should never hurt. She promised herself that she would never settle for less than she deserved. One evening, as Sophie and Lucas watched the sunset, Lucas said, "Sophie, you deserve all the happiness in the world. I hope I can be part of that happiness." Sophie looked at Lucas, her heart full of hope. "You already are, Lucas," she said. Sophie's journey was not easy, but it made her stronger. She learned to let go of people who didn't value her and to open her heart to new possibilities. She found happiness in her work, her dream, and in Lucas, who showed her what true kindness and love could be. Sophie realized that sometimes life takes unexpected turns, but those turns can lead to something even better. And so, Sophie began a new chapter in her life, filled with hope, love, and the promise of a brighter future. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next video.